Hey, what's up guys? Jackson here with Toasty DIY, and we are currently on a motorcycle. So this is my late 2021 KTM Duke 390. It is a 373 single cylinder fuel injected motorcycle, and it's kind of considered a street bike, but I'd also argue that it's dual sport in a sense. But of course they do make the 390 Adventure, which truly is a dual sport. This one actually, is more street-based, with street tires and everything. Definitely feels like a street bike, but the way that you sit on it is definitely very dual sport-like. You're very high up off the ground. You're kind of sitting straight up. You're not crouching forwards like a crotch rocket. So overall, really nice experience. I definitely love this bike. As you can see, I'm at 473 miles. I'm actually almost finally through my break-in period, so pretty soon I'll need to actually take this in, or, well, I'm probably going to take it in because I don't have any of the special KTM tools or software to be able to flash it, which I need to do so that it unlocks that rev light and everything. And I think there are probably a couple other things it unlocks, but I don't really know what all it unlocks off the top of my head. So, I mean, overall though, the shifting, like the riding, everything on this bike's really smooth. Obviously, it is a single cylinder, so it's a thumper. Going slow isn't the funnest. It does it fine because it is fuel injected. So I mean, it's smooth for a single cylinder, but you gotta remember, this is a big single cylinder, so it definitely feels a little bit lumpy at lower RPMs. It really likes to be in like I'm gonna say like 3,000 to, well, really 3,000 up RPM, but you do get a lot of low end torque with this bike. And when I say a lot, I mean like you can pretty much just stay below like 5,000 RPM and feel perfectly adequate, accelerating and keeping up with traffic and everything. So, we got a fellow biker. Sometimes finding neutral is a little bit of a bitch on it. As you can see, I've just passed it like 3 times there. So definitely not always the funnest. I always like when I get the biker waves. I like being able to do the little keep the 2 wheels in the ground thing, but it's not too easy. And of course this light didn't pick me up. Gosh dang it. Let's back it up. I always hate when this happens. The one downside of riding a motorcycle, oftentimes, is it's not heavy enough to trigger the pressure plates. Especially this bike. This bike comes in at only 325 pounds, I believe. The 200's even lighter. It's just a tad over 300, so relatively light bike. But it definitely has a lot to it in terms of features and everything. You have this super awesome screen, which I'm going to go up and show you guys. You can see your average speed, your miles per gallon, that's your tripometer, your trip time, and even your fuel range, which I think is a really cool feature with having a bike. I'm going to pull forward so these people behind me can maybe trip the sensor. Some people are smart and know when you're on a motorcycle, you know to try to help trip the sensor by pulling up a little bit more. Alright, can we get it this time? Yeehaw. Alright. The light was in our favor this time. Alright, so I'm now going helmet down. Hopefully that doesn't skew the audio too much. I'm also going a little bit faster than any of the tests I did. And also, hopefully my mic stays on. I'm really scared of that. I have one of those, they call them the dead cats because it looks like a big puffball to try to protect against wind. And it definitely doesn't feel the sturdiest. But many people will tell you this bike is an absolute dream. For like back road driving, around town driving. Not very good for the highway. It'll do it. This thing will top out a little over 100 miles an hour. But it's definitely not a enjoyable experience. I don't know, this thing, it's just too lightweight in my opinion, and some other people may argue that, like, I don't know, that's what you want on the highway. I've always been kind of a believer that on the highway you kind of want like a nice big chopper, something that weighs a lot, or that just has a lot of horsepower at least, which typically horsepower means weight. But yeah, on back roads like this where you can take corners and stuff, especially if you're one of the people that just really love hugging turns and everything, this bike is just absolutely amazing for it. For this price point, I don't think there's many that can compete. Of course though, there is entry-level bikes. you know, all throughout. I just think this guy coming in, I think a tad over $5,000 for the latest model. You really can't complain about that, especially when you have this awesome screen. The amount of technology that this bike has, no carburation or anything, you know, it's straight fuel injection, so you don't have to worry about tuning up carbs or anything. Obviously, if you do any type of like exhaust work, cat delete, any horsepower gain deals, it's not too bad to go through and actually flash this. This feels safe. Yeah, it's, like I said, like going around corners and stuff. Oh, it's just so fun. It was such a nice day too. It's been a little bit hot lately, but now we're kind of starting to get to the fall weather, as you can see with some of these leaves on the ground, but the trees are still looking nice and green. Finally starting to feel a lot better while riding. You know, it always sucks sitting at lights and stuff in the sun, but I don't think we'll be doing too much of that today. I'm just going to take a nice little loop around this area, though. We have some uphill driving here, hopefully be a little less cars, and then we're going to get on a little bit more of a main road, so I can show you guys this thing, you know, can do, you know, 40s and 50s, no problem. Yeah, so here's what I'm talking about, that low-end torque. You can be at a very low RPM, like, I mean, right now we're right around 4,000. And, you know, with a lot of, like, twin-cylinder bikes, you definitely feel a little bit more lag at those lower RPMs. Like, oh, you know, you're like, oh, I got a downshift to be able to take off. With this bike, it's just, like, instant acceleration, no matter what RPM you're at. And I'm definitely more of a novice rider, because this is my first bike, you know, besides having, like, small dirt bikes as a kid. So I'm definitely not a daredevil by any means. I also like to ride as safe as possible, so I'm not going to be doing any wheelies or anything, but you know, I'll definitely try to get some acceleration tests and get on it for you guys as much as I feel comfortable doing. Yeah, I mean, as you can see though, definitely has no problems getting up. I still, surprisingly, have yet to even go full throttle in really any of the RPMs. I mean, obviously, if I wanted to like redline it, I could, but what I'm saying is like trying to accelerate. I have never had to go pedal to the metal. I've been on some smaller CC bikes and, you know, a scooter. Obviously, in that one video I did of Zach's 150cc Piaggio scooter. You know, that bike has plenty of pickup to it, but I was able to go pedal to the metal pretty comfortably, and it wasn't scary or anything. With this bike, it's like, if you're actually going through the gears properly and shifting at the right time, I don't see you really needing to go full throttle, unless, like I said, you're a little more brave than me, which, you know, I'm definitely not the bravest on the bike. Downshifting, though, feels nice and smooth on the bike. Even though it's a single cylinder, you know, it's not bad. Alright, so try to do 45 here. You guys might not be able to hear me, but yeah, once again though, that was, I think we hit around 45 there, and that was like, I feel like maybe half throttle. I'm not going to try to underplay and say, oh, that was quarter throttle. I think I was probably doing about half, and I wasn't shifting, you know, at 9,000, 10,000 RPM or anything crazy. This thing will hit 10,500 RPM. So, you know, there's definitely more to give. It just doesn't really need it, in my novice opinion. Yeah, so as you can see, I mean, it'll do, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s, no problem. It's pretty comfortable. I know some people complain about it being shaky. You know, you get some bad engine vibrations at certain RPM, like drone effects. I don't personally really feel them too often. I know every so often, if I hit like the perfect RPM at the perfect speed, it'll definitely be a little bit vibrated to the point that I'm like, okay, you know, I should probably shift up, shift down, slow down, speed up. But it's never been bad enough to where I'm like, oh man, this bike sucks because of that. Like, it's really annoying. It's more like just a small little nuisance where I'm like, well, if this thing was a twin cylinder, I probably wouldn't have that. But, you know, that's one of the sacrifices of having the really large single cylinder like this. Don't you do it. Don't you do it, buddy. I'm looking at you. anyone out there on a motorcycle, always drive safe, especially when you live in a big city like I do. And I'm not even on any big city roads. I'm like, this is kind of back roads for where I live, so yeah, fun. But yeah, right now though, we're just cruising. We're just having a good old time. I'm just chilling in 5th gear, nice low RPM, 4,000. I could obviously get much higher RPM. We'll downshift for you guys to, you know, I'll chill at a higher RPM. You guys can hear more engine noise. My shift light's yelling at me. It doesn't like that. I'm still in that braking period. Alright, that's enough of that. So, overall though guys, I really do love the bike. No major complaints yet. I haven't had it serviced yet, so I'm not gonna guarantee you know, any like longevity. I know some people say these bikes are amazing long term, some people say that they suck. Not really 100% sure yet, honestly. I've done nothing to it. I mean, I literally bought the bike with 0 miles, and I've just been riding it since then. I started off really gentle, probably never went over 5,000 RPM, then I kind of realized, wow, there's a lot of power hidden when you kind of use the throttle wisely. So, you know, lately I've been a little bit more generous with it. I actually treat it a little bit more like a street bike. But I haven't had any issues, no random stall outs or anything. It's great on gas. I mean, you can see I'm hovering on 65 mpg right now, which I can't really complain for, you know, the amount of power and pickup the bike has and the amount of electronics and everything. So yeah, but overall though, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like and also check out our other YouTube channels, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.